We've gone through many phases of dear Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati's journey thus far, in Hollywood to the Himalayas, a journey of healing and transformation. If I am not mistaken, we have reached the last chapter. So let us read chapter 48, which is titled Om Brahm. I look forward to taking you with me, dear viewers, into this final chapter. May it relax your mind and awaken your heart. Om Brahm, Om Brahm, Om Brahm. My toes sink into the sand with each step. Om Brahm. My Guru, Pujya Swamiji, has taught me, as his Guru taught him, to chant this mantra with each breath, each movement, each step, right, left. Om Brahm, Om Brahm. All is Brahm, all is one, all is God. The Creator and the creation are one. I walk up and down the beach as the warm ocean laps at my ankles, the sun setting behind me, dropping into the tops of palm trees and behind the reef to the west of us. The sun is low enough that even when I walk toward it, I don't need to squint. In a few minutes, it will dip into the ocean. Om Brahm, Om Brahm. I continue to walk slowly at the water's edge. It's our last night in Hawaii, and I didn't want to miss the sunset. All the others are indoors or watching the sunset from benches at the edge of a cove next to the house. I'm a few hundred yards east of the home at a small sandy beach, so I can have my sunset in solitude, with my toes in the ocean. Om Brahm, Om Brahm. My thoughts are still as the water of the sea, barely a ripple, and a poem emerges from the gently shifting tide. We build castles in the sand and pay little heed to the maker of the sea. We use rivers for electricity and pay little heed to the maker of the rain. We linger over lavish meals and pay little heed to the maker of the seed. We raise glasses in a toast and forget to toast the maker of the wine. The maker of the vine. I stop at the far end of the beach in the remaining patch of sunlit sand to face the last rays of the sun. My feet are held by the wet sand as the tide gently comes in and out, splashing softly across my ankles and shins on the way in and gently pulling the sand beneath my feet on the way out. The tide in, the tide out, legs in the ocean, legs not in the ocean. It's a gentle shift. The water is warm, as is the evening air, and the sea is calm. But gentle though the movement is, it is distinguishable. Now I'm in the ocean. Now I'm not. Now I'm in. Now I'm not, as the tide moves in and back out to sea. As the tide flows in, immersing my legs, I imagine the individual soul approaching like a small wave coming out of the sea and entering a body. Then, in the ebb, as the water recedes, returning to where it came, there's a slight tug on the body, a tug on the impressions and connections made during its expression in form, but the tug is gentle and fleeting. The wave has gone back to the sea, and the body, merely matter now, is left on the shore to disintegrate, while the I, the self, the content has pulled back into the ocean. I close my eyes into the setting sun and drop into oneness with the waves at my feet. The tide is in, my legs are in the water, and the soul is in my body. I feel the dhoti tied at my waist, the heat of the setting sun on my face, the breath in my lungs, and the fine sand between my toes. The tide pulls out, exposing my legs and feet to the air, and my consciousness goes with it, leaving just a flesh and bones on the shore, and I feel not the cloth around my waist or the sand between my toes, but the infinite expansiveness of the ocean itself. The wave that was me has merged back into its source. The wave that was me has merged back not only into the ocean, but also back into the sky, into the sun that is setting. It is all the source from which that wave, which is now no longer a wave, had come. A moment later, the water is again lapping at my legs. The warmth bathes me, and my feet sink deeper into the sand. The soul has come again into the body. I draw my awareness back into the finite form. I feel the wind against my bare arms, notice the water rising almost to my knees. Again, I'm aware of the breath in my lungs. Then, as the tide recedes again and the current pulls the water and the sand, my awareness is pulled back out to sea. Oneness is the only word my brain can offer, as I have again melted back into wholeness, into that one inseparable, into the Creator itself. I stand there motionless for many moments, allowing my consciousness to ebb and flow with the tide, now in the body, in the individual, now in the ocean and sky, in the indivisible. The waves of the ocean coming in and going out, coming in and going out, each real for a moment, seemingly separate for an instant, truly present as it bathes my form, and then a breath later, back out again, back into the waveless whole. My consciousness in and out with the water. I am body. I am ocean. I am individual. I am infinite. I am form. I am formless. The tide recedes, pulling more forcibly now at the sand around my legs, as I merge again, carried by the ebbing water into the formless, into the ocean. Another wave, a separate stream, flows onto my legs from the other side. It came around and behind me from a slight bend at the end of the beach to wash over my now bare legs, and I realize in the darkening sky that I am both. The water that just washed up on me and the expansive ocean into which the other wave returned. I am here and I am there. I am this individual and that expansiveness. It's not either or, it's both simultaneously. I open my eyes. The sun has set outside and has risen within me. Om Brahm. Thank you. Now, how would you like to hear the blessings of her Guruji at the end of this book as a little surprise from His Holiness Pujya Swami Chidanand Saraswati Ji, President of Paramarth Niketan, Rishikesh, founder of the Global Interfaith WASH Alliance. Blessings. When Sadhvi Ji first came to the ashram, I knew she was different. Her purity of heart and the depth of her inner quest were extraordinary. She had had divine experiences on the banks of Mother Ganga that could be understood only as grace, but her container for experiencing, understanding, and sharing the grace was very unique. From day one, she has been completely surrendered to seva, Sanskrit word meaning selfless service. She always asks, "What through me?" rather than "What for me?" Her life has been focused on giving more, sharing more, serving more, rather than on having more. Now she is a great inspiration to so many, touching and inspiring people all around the world in so many capacities. I remember when she first came, she used to say that she should have been born in India, but I believe it is truly by God's grace that she was born in the West, because so many more people can relate to her, and her wisdom is applicable to so many more people as she has had the same experiences they go through. When Sadhvi Ji told me she was writing this book, I was so happy, as I have always known that her reach and impact will expand throughout the world, touching so many. She has come from Hollywood to the holy woods of the Himalayas. However, in this book, she has shared more than a journey from Los Angeles to Rishikesh, more than a journey from comfort and luxury in the West to sadhana, spiritual practice, in the East. She has shared the full depth of her internal journey as well, including even the parts that most people would leave out. For a respected and renowned spiritual leader in a country like India to share openly about a history of trauma and suffering takes a vast amount of courage. These are things that most people in the East implicitly agree not to talk about. We don't talk about things that might lower us in people's eyes or that would lower the image of our family. When Sadhvi Ji spoke to me about this, she said, "If I removed those parts which could make anyone think less of me, I wouldn't even know myself." In 50 years, she's never done something or not done something based on what people will think. It is difficult to convey to those not versed in the cultural traditions of India how deeply and courageous and unusual this is. I am so proud of her for having this courage to share, with an open heart, her full journey and life experiences. She has shown in her life and in her book the power of truth, that truth matters, and truth should come first. For someone of her caliber to share her truth so openly will have far-reaching ripples and will, I am sure, touch, heal, and inspire so many others to know that they too can be free. Many others will know that they too can forgive, let go, and move forward into freedom. Sadhvi Ji's journey and her raw openness about it will bring the teaching, the touch, and the transformation to those stuck in shame. Sadhvi Ji is blessed to have been carried to India, and India is blessed to have her. From her Guruji. Magdalene writes that she seconds her Guru. You feel her guide us with her hand in ours the entire way. I concur. And I'm so blessed to have had the opportunity to read this book to you. So thank you for listening. And thank you, Sky Guardian, for sending this wonderful book for us to read. Oh, what the heck. We'll read the acknowledgments too. It deserves to be heard. It's only a few pages. This book is about the blessing of transformation with which I have been gifted. A 25-year-old Jewish Stanford grad from Los Angeles with a history of sexual abuse and bulimia sees God on the banks of a sacred river in India, moves there, becomes a disciple of one of India's most revered saints, is initiated into the sacred Hindu order of sannyas, renunciation, and becomes a spiritual leader, sharing platforms with luminaries ranging from the Dalai Lama to Prince Charles. Even though I've lived it, it still seems unbelievable. The sheer number of people whose love, wisdom, and abundant generosity of time, energy, and spirit have gone into these 50 years of my life and into this book has been uncountable. I must begin with gratitude to my parents, my mom and dad, Frank, for raising a young woman so deeply rooted in her commitment to truth that she took the outrageous step of moving to India at 25 after having a spiritual awakening. The courage they gave me to believe in myself is what permitted me to take that step and follow my heart and soul. Their support all these years have been a great blessing. Love and gratitude to Dr. Ronald Gershman and Suzanne McLellan Goewi, if I can pronounce that better. You can let me know. For seeing in a 19-year-old me a woman who was not actually sick and provided an unconditional, love-filled space for me to find my own wisdom and experience my own truth. Deepest gratitude and love to Greg Shelkun, my amazing quote-unquote magic healer. Kim Shernan introduced me to Greg when I was 24 and said she couldn't quite describe what he did. Other than that, quote, he makes the unbearable bearable, unquote. He did that for me then, as for more than 25 years, has been my go-to psychic diagnostician as well as healer for any ailments of the body and mind. So much love for her past husband Jim and the deep, turbulent, transformative beauty of a marriage we shared, for always being more curious and more fascinated by my suffering than judging it, pushing it away, or trying to quote cure unquote me. An unbounded gratitude for bringing me to India and ironically creating a situation where I was alone at the ashram in the soil where transformation and healing blossomed. If I had a magic wand to recreate those years, the only thing I'd change is the pain you experienced. I am so deeply grateful for your continued presence and the friendship in my life. There would be no book in our hands if it weren't for Ariel Ford and Marcy Shimoff. For years they pushed me to write my story, helping me to realize that no, it's not just a fascinating story, but actually something that will inspire and transform others in a profound way. And well beyond their initial inspiration, they have guided, helped, led, and manifested every aspect of the production, publication, marketing, and more. I've joked that Ariel is the sperm donor, midwife, and milkmaid of this entire book. I grew it inside of me and I pushed it out, but she's done the rest. Ariel is the embodiment of brilliance, experience, expertise, wisdom, boundless energy, and the unparalleled ability to manifest what she sets her mind to. Her personality is rooted in the mantra of yes. Her active lead on this project from the first page helped in every possible way turn this idea into a reality. Jack Cornfield, Jack Canfield, Trudy Goodman, Reverend Michael Beckwith, Bruce Lipton, Barnett Bain, Sean Korn, Ronaldo Brutocho, Dr. Azza Karam, Jonathan Granoff, Prince E.A., Bharat Mitra, Adil Kasam, Barbara Fields, Victor Kazanjian, Janine Firpo, and so many more dear friends have provided deep support, love, and wisdom throughout the writing of the book, and especially around making the choice not to remove the writing about my biological father's sexual abuse, which had been suggested to me lest I not lose respect in the world of religion. I am so deeply grateful that all of you are in my life. And again, I apologize if I've mispronounced any of these lovely people's names which have supported the making of this book and the life of our dear author. Extra thanks also to Prince A, or E.A., that's how you spell his name, E.A., I'm not sure, for gifting this book and me with such a brilliant foreword, and for your enthusiastic yeah when I asked if you would do it. Great thanks to Linda Sparrow for her support and assistance with the book proposal and much more, and to Gareth Essersky, my wonderful agent who believed in this book so deeply and has championed it throughout this process. The team at Insight Editions, led by Raoul Goff and Roger Shaw, has also been so fantastic since the beginning. They really, quote, unquote, got the book, including the vast global impact of its core message. They have put such love into creating a publication that is truly beautiful, and also into getting this book into the hands of as many people as possible, so that people can realize the possibility of their own healing, their own opening, and their own transformation, and ultimately so that our global family can open themselves to the incredible power of grace. Much gratitude to Matt Wise and James Facinto for their commitment and love of this project and their crucial roles in bringing it to such a successful fruition. My wonderful editor, Arnie Kotler, was recommended and introduced to me by Jack Cornfield, who gave me loving, generous kudos on the first edition of this book, but told me I'd have to be Tolsti, or I don't know how to pronounce their name, Tolsti, to hold people's attention for the nearly 400 pages. He suggested that Arnie was my answer, and he was. What a joy to work with such wonderful wordsmith who understood and appreciated the subject so deeply. Thanks so much to Ganga Nadiniji and the whole Seva team of Paramar Niketan, Global Interfaith WASH Alliance, and the Divine Shakti Foundation for your beautiful presence in my life, and for taking up so much more additional seva while I worked to finish, managing it all so beautifully and perfectly as always, and for being such incredible beings of light, devotion, and service. It's an honor and joy to share this path and my life with you. This book is dedicated to Kim Chernin, PhD, a woman whose role in my life, healing, and transformation cannot be expressed in words, even by one who loves words as much as I do. I met Kim when I was 25, a few months before heading off to India. The universe providing me with a woman equally able to journey with me into my deepest darkness, as she was able to later weep with me in ecstasy as we loved God together. There was no thought, feeling, or experience I had that Kim wasn't able to know and feel immediately, deeply, and personally in her own self, and then, from that place of knowing, hold my hand as I discovered that I, too, knew. In addition to being my everything for the last 25 years, therapist, best friend, and mentor, she was also the first editor of this book, encouraging me page after page to tell less and show more, to dive deeply into my felt sense of the teachings, and to take the reader along with me on the journey. The tragedy of the COVID pandemic stabbed through my heart as it took her life. Her beautiful body is no longer with us, but I feel her presence nearly constantly, and almost every day I can hear her exclaim with love and wonderment, "Oh Bhagawati." Lastly, and most importantly, to my Guru Pujya Swami Chidanand Saraswati Ji, I offer all the gratitude, all the devotion, and all the love that I have. In Sanskrit, the word Guru literally means the one who dispels darkness and brings light. A true Guru is one who shines the light not on himself or herself, but who shines the light on you. From the beginning, Pujya Swamiji has held that metaphoric superpowered flashlight, and even when at times I was attached to the story of my darkness, he has stood there calmly, quietly, steadfastly, until I had no choice but to look into the light and see what he had seen from day one when he told me to look into the light and see what he had seen. When he told me I could be free. I said that sentence twice because I went back a line, but it made sense. I thank him so deeply for his words. Welcome home. And opening his home to me and to so many others from every corner of the earth. I also have such deep gratitude for the way that he has nourished, nurtured, guided, directed, and graced my path. To have a Western woman as a core disciple and to put her on platforms typically occupied only by Indian men is no small feat. It has not been easy for him, I know that, but his anchoring in divine, genderless, or genderful truth has made him emphatic and resolute about the role women must play in the world, including the world of religion. Thank you for listening. That's the end of the acknowledgements. This book has a wonderful glossary of Sanskrit terms. Now, as a reward for those who listen to the acknowledgement, here are some wonderful pictures included at the end of our dear author as she has grown up. We'll explore them together, and I'll just minimize the cover so you can have as big of a view as possible of these wonderful images. There she is, riding her bike. She's even got training wheels still. Oh, how far she has come. Oh my goodness. Her face looks like an emoji. The most perfect smile. Unrelinquished joy. Perfect. Top left, on a whale watching trip to Catalina Island with her father Frank. What a distinguished gentleman. I love that hat. Top right, Sadhviji's bat mitzvah in 1984. I love this. This is the one where she opened with, "Today, I am not a man." And everyone laughed. Bottom, with mom and dad, early to mid 1980s. Oh yeah. Definitely looking 80s. There she is. Next page, top with mom, sometime in the early 1990s. bottom left, on a backpacking trip from the Tetons, summer 1988. Wow. Look at that hair. My goodness. Bottom right, Stanford graduation, June 1993. Next page, top, crossing from Nepal into Tibet on a trip from Kailash Mansarovar, which I think we read about. Left to right, we have Sadhvi, her guru, Pujya Swamiji, another guru, Pujya Sant Sri Ramesh Bhai Oza, who is called in this book as Bhai Shri. And then there's Pujya Swamiji, Guru Sharananandji Maharaj. And I forget which one asked if how much soup was too much soup, because they were so beyond the body they forgot. They just didn't have a recollection of how much soup was too much soup. On the bottom left, in the tent camp on the banks of Lake Mansarovar, June 1998. You can tell they were at a very high elevation. You have met Bhai Shri in real life, shares Sky Guardian. How wonderful is that? And on the bottom right, during a special event at Paramarth Niketan in the mid-1997 or 1998. I love that. Definitely in her element. And whatever she's carrying looks delicious. And on the next page, the top, being blessed by Pujya Swamiji, her guru, in the early 2000s. And finally, no, not finally, on the bottom, on the banks of the Ganga, in the early days. I love these pictures. On the top, there she is with Swami Ram Devji at the Kumbh Mela in Prayagraj. Oh, what a happy holy man he is. I can feel his joy. On the bottom, speaking with His Excellency Ram Nath Kovind, the President of India, at President House. Next page, in the top right, love during a Hindu-Muslim interfaith celebration of India's Independence Day, August of 2018. Some very lovable children. And that includes Sadhviji, as her inner child is alive and well. Did I say inner child? I should say inner and outer child. Actually, the middle right one that you saw, below the one that was actually at the top right, was sharing love and the gift of reading with a child at one of the Divine Shakti Foundation's free schools. On the top left, she is with a young man. Sorry, I misread that. A young girl who has mental and physical challenges that she goes through, who had come for a free medical camp at Paramarth Niketan. How lovely. And on the bottom, here she is meditating on the banks of Ganga with the Rishi Kumars of the Gurukul / orphanage at Paramarth Niketan. Whoever sent that heart me was excellently timed. Sadhvi ji got the heart me. Now, on the next page on the top, the launch of the Encyclopedia of Hinduism in London by the Prime Minister of Great Britain, Mr. David Cameron, and many dignitaries at the Queen Elizabeth II Centre. There they are, and her guru, there she is. It's hard to pick them out in a crowd, hey? In the center left, a panel on women's religious leadership at a UNFPA headquarters in New York during the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women, March 2019. And below that, we have her with friends for Prince E.A. and Dr. Bruce Lipton in Colorado. And on the bottom right, her giving a TEDx talk at the University of San Francisco. Next page in the top left, Love with Sister Reverend, I'm not sure what SR stands for, some title, Agatha Ogochukwu Chikelu. And I'm sure I can improve on my pronunciation of that. Here she is with that lovely lady. To the right of that, we have her sharing about the work of Global Interfaith WASH Alliance with the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres. I love that he's wearing some ceremonial garland around his neck. And on the bottom, we have the Interfaith Peace Prayer Ceremony and Mega Event at the International Peace Palace, The Hague. So many, probably important people in this image. We can see, of course, her and her guru at the front. Next page, on the top at the Governor House, Mumbai, October 2019. On the left is Anil Kapoor, a Bollywood actor. In the center left, there is her guru, Pujya Swamiji. And then there is the Honorable Governor of Maharashtra, which is a province in India, I believe. There's a famous actor. Not sure if it's focusing, but that's okay. Now it has sneak peek for the bottom. I'm sure you already saw. There's the launch of Sadhviji's book, Come Home to Yourself, in India with His Holiness the Dalai Lama in 2019. I love him. He always has the best face, the Dalai Lama. Her guru does too. They all have such wonderful faces. On the next page, on the top, there she is with Jane Goodall at the Parliament of the World's Religions in 2015. And below that, she is with Pope Francis in Rome. For a celibate, she sure gets around. That's a terrible joke. I shouldn't say that. On the next page, on the top, she's with Sting and his wife, Trudy Styler, at their home in New York. Sorry. Below that, she is at the NDTV Cleanathon with famous actor Amitabh Bachchan, offering him a Rudraksha sapling. How lovely. Rudraksha trees are considered very holy, and it's where Rudraksha seeds come from, which are these sacred beads that are often used in malas. On the next page, she is with Prince Charles and Duchess Camilla as they perform Ganga Arati at Parmarth Niketan. Now that's an image I never expected to see. Holding the sacred lamp to honor the goddess Ganga. And there, her and her guru flank on either side, I think. Is that her guru or might be someone else? And below that, Sadhvi speaks about the importance of protecting water at an interfaith gathering hosted by His Holiness the Dalai Lama in Bodh Gaya, India. Looks like there are Hindu, Buddhist, and Sikh leaders there. On the next page, on the top, is a special interfaith worship to WAS event hosted by the Global Interfaith WASH Alliance with UNICEF in Ladakh, uniting hands for clean water and sanitation. So many wonderful beings. I actually like the reflection of the ring light. It gives it a kind of dreamy feel. I was laughing because I was looking at the next picture and I was like, hey, it's the Beatles and their guru, which operated in a very similar place on the banks of the Ganges or Ganga in Rishikesh. That picture is her leading a meditation at the Maharishi Ashram, the Beatles Ashram in Rishikesh during the International Yoga Festival. That's the ashram that the Beatles went to when they were having their spiritual journey. Which reminds me, I would love for more interviewers to ask Ringo and Paul McCartney about their spiritual journey. They're always asking them questions about the Beatles and them breaking up, but they experienced a lot of spiritual awakening. They have a lot of wisdom. People should interview them on that. On the next page top, there she is meditating under the trees. Oh, I like this. Yeah. That's a good place to meditate. And below that, there's the International Women's Day celebration at Paramarth Niketan. I love that. And finally, above is our dear author, Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati, of Hollywood to the Himalayas, being showered with flower petals on her birthday by devotees, friends, and the children of the Gurukul. And that, officially, is the end of the book, Hollywood to the Himalayas. So, again, I thank you, dear viewers, for allowing me the opportunity to read over the past few months, one chapter at a time. It goes to show how just reading a few pages every day is enough to finish a book in a few months, and what a wonderful book that is. And I'm so grateful for the gift to the world that her story is. It's so deeply touching indeed when a spiritual leader comes from a background which is so relatable to so many, having gone through such terrible abuse when she was a child and dealing with the mental health repercussions for many years after that, to having to deal with what it's like being a woman in America and in India also, to becoming a revered spiritual leader is truly amazing. And I really hope that her story touches you as much as it touched me, even though I'm not American or a woman. I know that there's a lot of more room in the world for the voices of the women to be amplified, uplifted, and heard. And so it's truly my solemn duty to be able to participate in that. This book is certainly a story of how grace does not discriminate. It does not discriminate on the basis of religion, gender, class, nationality. The only qualification for grace is that you are open to trying something new. And if you have that opening in your heart, I am sure that wonderful things are already on its way to you. Namaste.